Yo, this is B-Boy Tech Report, and today we're talking about the K-Mix. Now, I did an unboxing and a kind of first impressions of the K-Mix when I first got it, and since then I've kind of been getting to know it, and I gotta tell you, it's a pretty dope device. Now, I don't know how many of you all know about K-Mix. It's a new mixer that's out by Kieth McMillen. It has 8 inputs, 10 outputs. You can use it as a programmable mixer. You can use it as a control surface for your DAW, and you can use it as a standalone mixer. And so it has audio over USB out of the back, or obviously audio out of the outputs on the back as well. It's powered by plus 5 volts DC. It can get that power over USB, or it can get that power from the USB cable connected to a little power adapter, like so. So it also has onboard effects. So this is a pretty powerful and flexible little mixer with a very small, if you see it right back there, very small footprint that gives you a lot of flexibility. So, if you're a musician that's on the go, you can take this and you obviously have a very capable mixer that maybe you could do sub mix for a drummer. Maybe you could take it to your rehearsal and record everybody. Maybe you could take it to a gig and record the gig. Podcasters can also use this. It's a great little mixer for podcasting. People to go on location. Or if you're the kind of person that like to disconnect from the computer from time to time, it's no problem because it's also a standalone mixer. Just plug in the power, and then from there you could even plug in the power and record into iOS device because it's compatible with that. It has the K-Mix editor, which you can see behind me, and we'll take a brief look at that. But the K-Mix editor is only compatible with Mac. It's not yet available on the PC, so if you have a PC and you want to kind of do the K-Mix editor deal, not going to work out, sorry for you. But let's take a look at this K-Mix deal. So this is the K-Mix interface. And this is also where you would do like updates and things like that. Anything you do here is immediately viewable or affected on the actual device. So you can see the level 4.2. As I move that, right, you see the level there. So you get control over all these different things. The reverb, surround. So here's the reverb settings. MIDI. So when you're using this as a MIDI device, you can come here and do all the different settings for that. K-Mix editor, that's where you would do all that stuff at. Channel strip. You come here, you kind of have all this. You can turn it on and off. The gate, the routing. So that's when you can really do all of the stuff that you want to do with the K-Mix editor. Sorry for you, but still in all, this is a pretty powerful mixer, and I use it as an audio interface into, as you can see behind me on Ableton. You can go into your DAW or your sound settings, and you can go ahead and click on K-Mix. It'll show up as K-Mix, and then you have access to all of those inputs and outputs from there. So like I said, it's a very powerful little mixer. I'd recommend it, and it's clean. It sounds like pristine. The micro pre's that they have on this thing, and it just sounds pretty good. I couldn't say enough about it. So I'd recommend this, especially for my dudes out there that want a mixer. It's affordable for the power that you get and the flexibility that you get. And if you want a mixer that doesn't take up a lot of space, like that guy back there, obviously, you can kind of go with something like that that's small, and you see it sitting next to the rhythm. That gives you an idea of how big it is, and you'll see also I put it with the iPad mini, and it's a slight bit bigger than the iPad mini. So yeah, let's check it out. It's a pretty simple interface, and it has a very small footprint. If I could compare, right? If you know kind of what that's like, you can see this is a pretty small footprint on this guy. I think it's about the size of an iPad, right? It's an iPad mini. So that gives you an idea of how big it is. A little bigger than an iPad mini. So this is the interface. You have these buttons to select which channels you're affecting. These are touch sensitive strips, much like the Kieth McMillen other products that have this kind of touch interface with the tricolored, get a little closer, you can see that that's tricolored LEDs in there letting you know what the levels are at, right? Simple enough. I'm barely touching, so those things are very sensitive. With the levels, if you look a little closer towards the bottom here, you have mute, right? So I think that's kind of cool. So you can see if the levels are up like that, you hit mute and it's gone. You raise it back up by sliding up like that. It also has solo at the top, right? Mute at the bottom, or mute. You have the master strip with master. It also does plus 48 volts phantom power for your inputs. And speaking of the inputs, you can kind of see from the top which inputs you're plugging into if you don't want to turn it around, but it's small enough that you can obviously lift it up and see what's what. So you can see that here it has the XLR, the jacks that double as XLRs, the combo jacks, XLR, TRS, two of them, and they have the micro pre, and they sound really clean, really dope. I mean, you get a really clean signal from this thing, which, you know, in doing any kind of music or any kind of presentations or podcasts. And incidentally, this is a perfect mixer for podcasts and stuff. If you kind of do location podcasts, this is excellent. So you got your micro pre and your phantom power on the first two inputs here. And then you have your 8 outputs all balanced. So let's get back to this interface. Each one of these will allow you to select each one of the tracks that you have. And these are the rotary wheels. They give you, you know, red feedback. So say if I wanted to check out the compressor, which is this guy. So you hit that and you notice that they all light up. Whichever one you touch is the track you're affecting. And you can see there's all different compressor levels there. One of the things I was thinking is like, okay, well, how do you tell what parameter you're affecting when you're trying to use the compressor? So we hit the compressor, right? That toggles it on and off, right? So we hit the compressor. Now you see the rotaries are lit up. And if you look a little closer, I'll just get a little closer, you see that each parameter or each rotary has like 3 parameters around it: threshold, pre-delay, low, ratio, damping, mid, release, diffusion, mid frequency, gain, decay, high. So that all depends on what you're doing at the moment. So now I've hit EQ, and you see what's lit up with the blue LED is high, mid frequency, mid, low, right? So basically that's how you know what this rotary knob controls, what the blue LED says it is. And obviously if I hit compressor, then you have compressor parameters that are lit up with the blue LED. So if I was to kind of go around, I'll have number 1 selected, so that's track 1. I'm now adding compression to track 1. I'm messing with the threshold for track 1. I'm still on track 1 now. We're messing with the ratio. I'm still on track 1, and we're going around, we're dealing with the release. And then the gain, right? And you can do that for each one of these, and that's why that's lit up differently for each one of these tracks. Similar with the EQ, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the verb, if you look at it, you can't really select. That's the reverb. You can't really select because I believe the reverb is a global effect. So that's where you'd go about kind of doing that stuff right there. So those are the rotary knobs. And so it has these presets. So when you get this all set the way you want, you can actually save these presets here. You see, so we're on the main preset. Now we're on this preset. So it has 12 preset knobs, but so that basically means however you set this up, you get recall because you can go ahead and save it to a preset button by hitting preset and selecting the preset that you want. So that's 12 presets that you get right on the actual unit, but if you go into the K-Mix editor, then you're allowed to manage the presets and save up to 99 of them. So yeah, the K-Mix editor is actually something that's dope because you can kind of configure this and control this and save the settings and do whatever you need to do. Rotary dials up here where you can control different settings, whether it's EQ, compression, and reverb, etc., etc. But here are the inputs, and you can see I've got 3 and 4 highlighted here. Well, not highlighted, but that's the level that I have them set at, 3 and 4. So you can kind of see the contrast a little bit there. You can see the feedback that you get. And what I have is the analog rhythm plugged up. And I'm just going to play the analog rhythm a little bit and kind of let you see what the VU meters look like and let you kind of see how the control goes when you got a signal coming through it. So let's check it out. So as you can see, I got the level set here for the analog rhythm. And if we just hit this button here, off to the side a little bit here. If we hit the VU button, that gives you some feedback on what you got going through it. Let's see if we can set some compression on this guy. So bringing it down a little bit because obviously I'm setting some compression, and you can tap which one of these you want to actually set. So 3, you can see what the threshold is set at. You can see what the ratio is set at. You can also see what release and gain is set at. So if you kind of want to set those the same, then you'll have to kind of eyeball what's what. So I'm going to set the threshold the same on 4. It's just about the same. Ratio. So that's what we have, and obviously you can see that probably need to bring that out of the red a little bit, but the point is to just kind of demonstrate what we have going on as far as controls. I can pull this down a little bit, and you can see it stays static for just a little bit to see where you are. Then it goes back to the VU. You turn the VU off, and it just shows you your level, what you got your track set at. Here, the VU meter is letting you know what's up. It's also doing that on the master. And so I'm going with some extreme values just to let you guys know um, what it's capable of, right? So I can pull that back just a little bit. Let's pull the bass back. Pull some of the highs back. Alright, so that's the EQ. You can kind of see how effective the EQ and stuff is on these different channels. And it's really not difficult to use. I mean, we can go back into the compressor. You can put the gate on those joints. You can, I mean, the options are innumerable. So I'm just going to stop it right there. That gives you some sense of what it's like to actually run something through it and kind of what the effects sound like and how you can kind of control those things. It's really not a difficult interface. When you look at it at first, it's kind of like, what is this? But once you kind of know that these rotary dials here have important controls for you, if it's EQ or if it's, you know, the gate or the compressor or whatever, these rotary dials are going to tell you exactly where you're at per track. Every track has its level, its solo, its mute. You can hit the VU and it'll give you, like I said, the VU reading. Or you could put it here, bring that down a little bit, and still kind of get the VU reading. You have your diamond up here, you have your presets, and it's really very simple to control and configure. So, yeah, that's the K-Mix. So, that was the Kieth McMillen K-Mix, and this is B-Boy Tech Report. I'm B-Boy Tech. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you check back as we do these things on a regular basis. Check out the podcast. But be sure to follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. It's all B-Boy Tech Report on any of the social media networks. Like us on Facebook. And getting back to the K-Mix, dope mixer. I'd certainly recommend it to the person that might be wanting like a dope mixer in their life that's not taking up a lot of space. Definitely recommend it. It's not complicated. It just kind of works. So, you know, go out and cop that K-Mix for the power and the flexibility that you get. It's a pretty good buy and certified dope. B-Boy Tech Report. All right, let's go.